So Verasity has been in the news quite a lot recently because of a big token burn. The price has risen. We're going to do a bit of a technical analysis / price prediction in this video. However, I need to talk about their main focus to prevent scammers, fraud adverts, publisher networks, all that kind of good stuff, right? Now, the big thing we talk about this is kind of obvious here. Open Ledger designed to fight advertisement fraud and making a better, clear structure. But what we're seeing right now is a lot of fraud in terms of scammers and imposters. As I say, my Patreon has been hit massively recently with my free trial. Not good, it's been removed, but you get the idea, right? So due to the fact of the news, this has had a monstrous rise, and it's definitely tweaked my interest, right? Because I like that this has created a big movement. I'm not a big lover of tokens that have a lot of tokens, right? It kind of negatively impacts the price. It kind of gets people a bit too excited about certain things. Oh, it's going to go to $1 until something happens. Now, this is until something happens, right? A lot of people have been talking about this going really high in terms of stupid levels. But the reality is we need to see what this token burn can do. So I'm looking into this to see, well, can it actually go to these dizzy heights that some YouTubers have been saying, not recently, as in months back, a long time ago. It got hyped up very, very big in the prior cycle, right? So it's not a negativity, but it does move the goalposts in a positive light, okay? So let's look at the price. In the previous cycle, it went to pretty much nearly 9 cents on the nose, right? Had a huge run. Now, I was pretty negative about it because I thought it was pretty much hyped up, and it has gone to nice low levels. That puts me in the game, basically, right? Because I'm interested now. The reason why I'm interested is because of that token burn. It is a massive amount. We're talking the decision to burn 10 billion tokens. Okay. It's huge. Today's burn effectively caps Veracity's circulating supply at just 10 billion. So it's a crazy amount. When we go back and look at the details here in terms of what it actually has, that's a lot of money that has literally just been absolutely smashed away. Their circulating supply is that. Now, what I need to go and figure out and look and do more research into is how much token supply does it actually have now, because there's still this. There's a high chance that CoinMarketCap are nowhere near up to date, right? So it's a huge amount. I want to know what is the future projections of how much. So, you know, we could read this. The Verasity team has also said that they're actively looking to blockchains to move the 90 billion proof of view. So it sounds like this 90 billion is just going to get thrown away. If that is the case, that could be huge, right? So I need to look into it. Please do your own research, not financial advice. But if that is the case, 10 billion tokens at this price, it could well be a different price somewhere in not too long. So let's do some price analysis. Now, as normal mobster fashion, I know for some people it's boring, but I like to use Fibonacci. The reason being, it works, right? So if we go from the high to the low, now, subjective nature is I always go from the previous high, not say if this was lower, I'd always go from the lower one, for example. But give you an idea, the lows are here, give or take, and this is kind of huge, right? Now, the reason why I think this has got a lot of interest in the previous cycle was because of the metaverse. But they've kind of swapped over a little bit and got an actual use case in terms of not so much metaverse-y, if that makes sense. Kind of went with that for some reason, I don't know why. But when we talk about what their functionality is, and if we go to their website, it'll spell it out in a lot more detail versus me waffling a lot of cack. You can see it. The new standard in transparency, right? The view ecosystem and the proof of work module, stuff like that. The black box ad fraud industry, right? Now, we all know that's a huge problem in the world anyways. It's very, very simple. But the reality is this world is getting much bigger. Digital advertisement and payments. Payments key here as well. Digital currencies. What are we in? We're in crypto, right? So that could be a massive factor too. We do not want scammers. We do not want ad fraud. We do not want other influencers taking the piss with certain things. And we want that to change, right? everyone's best interest in having something that works. Now, when we're looking at price predictions here, there's a lot of money on the table here for a long-term investment. If you are looking over the next couple of years in terms of the growth of the ecosystem, the growth of the digital marketing world, look at how Twitter has, changed how they're doing things as well. There's huge factors there. Now, if we're looking at current price to the all-time high, looking at a 14x, right? Reality is it could go way beyond that because of that token burn. Potentially, as I say, work in progress. I need to do more research on that in terms of how much is going to be put out there. This could go up a wee bit in price if that is the case. Now, that being said, people still need to buy it. There still needs to be demand. There still needs to be a use case. Still needs to be a good team. So you can't just go, well, that token burn is going to happen. It's going to go up. They need to kind of follow through with that, right? So what would I do in this situation? Well, when we look at price predictions, we've got to look at, the past. There's some key levels here of absolute solid interest around the key fib levels, actually, which is quite important. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to go to 3 cents, 4 cents, 5 cents. I think in a bull cycle, it's going to go much higher. I think it has the hype. But as I said before, yes, it's had proof in the past. It's done well. But can it follow through? That is the ultimate question. That's a question that, as much as I want to say as a prediction, it's very, very speculative. So bear that in mind. The team have to do what they need to do to make it happen. One thing that they have done is followed through with this, which is relatively huge. As I say, more research is required. I need to look into it. So when we look at the future predictions, now this is the thing. We're now talking about a potential $10 billion circulating supply, okay? And it may not rise much more than that, which is kind of interesting. It kind of puts into perspective here some of those crazy coin predictions that you got in the past when you look at what we are dealing with right now, right? Which we do need to talk about. The reason why I say that is because we have had some people say $1. Huge run. Now that's that. If that is literally a zero been wiped off it and it literally is going to be that, it is going to change the game massively if this is not going to increase much more. Whereas in the past, what would have been happening, this would have been increasing and it would have been diluting it massively. You can probably see that very, very clearly here. Bit of a problem, right? So if we go back to where the circulating supply is of what, 10 billion, give or take, around that point, whatever number, you get the idea, right? In terms of where we are. That could be a massive run, but it also only gives it, I say only, a 10.2 billion market cap. Not impossible now, is it? No. So that's why I say more research is important. If you want to put it a bit more reasonable, 50 cents, you get the idea. And again, obviously 25 cents. These are not price predictions as in, this is just me just waffling numbers, but giving you an idea of the numbers and the perspective of that kind of makes more sense. But what do I think? Well, this is the thing. I think this level here at 14 cents looks pretty nice. If we're going to talk about levels of structure, the impulse, the bear cycle into the new dawn of the new cycle, where can it go? Well, with these fundamental changes of the tokenomics, which is pretty big, a 14 cent level isn't to be sniffed at. Now, what would this be in real terms? Now, this is where I look at this and think, well, risk reward here, going to a 14 cent level is a 22x. I'd have a piece of that. I'd buy that. I'd invest some money in that to achieve potential goals like that, which sounds mad considering I've been a big critic of this asset in the past, but that fundamental change has made me go, well, hold on a minute. That moves the goalpost massively in a positive light, as I said before. That allows me to go in and be interested in this. And the fact that the price hasn't moved massively or drastically and it's still somewhat under wraps makes me think there's still an opportunity here to look at this and think, well, there's a potential long here and ride this up into some of these levels. Now, 14 cents, I've just said, looks like a nice area, but also you got 22 cents up here. That is also a pretty obvious level if things are going to top out. But as I say, token burn, it changes things massively, providing the team are going to continue with what they're doing. And as I say, I have been pretty critical of this one because of the way it was hyped up and the supply that they had. But they've kind of redeemed that in a way. So let's just see what could happen. Now, 22 cents looks kind of an obvious open bus level. is 35x, a $2.3 billion asset. Do you think that the world of this situation, advertisement fraud, more advertising, publishing, all kinds of stuff in terms of what's going to be in their roadmap, do you think that warrants a 2.3 billion market? Well, that's down to the team. It looks pretty decent in my view. So yeah, that is what I think. That is my personal honest opinion, not financial advice, of course. But 22 cents doesn't sound mental now. However, if you said to me 22 cents, 14 cents in the past, and they didn't do any token burns, and they have been doing token burns over the last couple of months as well, not just recently, they have been doing it for a while, it does change the game, because if you are only looking at a circulating supply of 10.2 billion, it puts those price targets massively in those sites. So it's definitely worth looking at. Anyways, if you're new, subscribe, hit the like button if you enjoyed it. If you want more of these stuff, check out my Patreon. And yeah, be back again soon. Maybe an exit plan for something like this soon.